Michael Maksoudian.
Yes.
I don't. That's not how I start my conversations with just saying your name. No, but just to kind of build context, I've known you for I want to say 15 years, maybe,
Probably.
around that. You know,
Yeah, actually.
I mean, sporadically see each other over the years.
Yes.
But obviously we worked with each other at TBWA.
Sure.
I've had Ramzi Raad here, one of the guests that I had
Nice.
a few months ago.
Cool.
Which was a fascinating podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I've I saw your journey over the past 15 years, ever since TBWA. We've always clicked, I feel, when I was at TBWA, and obviously then I saw you leave and kind of like build your own path.
Yeah.
And you built your own company, and now a lot of people talk about your own company. So I guess maybe build that context, like who are you, and talk to us a little bit about Netizency, and then we can go into everything else.
Okay, very good. Okay, so I started my journey in advertising, the big firms, obviously.
Yeah.
And I ended the big firms with TBWA, where I met you.
Oh, that was the
Yeah, that was the
that was the
end
one to
of
the
my-
jugular.
yeah, that was
Never
like,
again.
I've had it, I need to go. And then I moved to Do.
Okay, yes,
And,
I remember you had to
I
do.
was working on their special project operation. I was heading the brand and Markham's there.
Okay.
So we do everything that's non-Do branded. So I did that for like a couple of years. And then we realized nobody's doing social properly. When I was at TBWA and the big agencies, we were hopeful we want to do it,
Yeah.
but we weren't managing to do it. Then I said, you know what, I'll go to the client side and I'm sure I'll find somebody that can do it. I struggled in finding it. And then we said, it's about time we do that. So Fadi was the first who went in and said, I'm going to jump and do it.
Your partner, Fadi.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I was married. I had a kid. That's when you don't usually do a jump
Yeah.
to entrepreneurship. That's when I did the jump.
Absolutely.
Not the smartest move. And to be honest, throughout my life, if you ask me, is that a goal? And I'll be lying and say, yes, I always envisioned it and I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. It was never the case.
Really?
I straight from university told me, what do you want to do? I want to be an employee.
Okay.
So I want a salary. I want to get it at the end of the month, and I don't want to worry how the money comes.
Okay, yeah.
But I'll do great at where I am. Fast forward to the jump. So I did the jump, and we were like 5-6 people at that time. Small office in Media City at the Loft. And, we were getting clients like friends and family.
Right.
So like, I know you have a podcast, you need some help in social. Okay, come, we can do it for you.
Right.
And we did obviously a very good job, and we started growing. And I said, okay, somebody heard about us. You tell your friends and families. Then you move to the client side, and you go like, okay, pitch. And lo and behold, we're here now. We're like around 50 people
Wow.
in Dubai Design District. We have an office in Beirut and Doha and Riyadh. And we have the biggest names that you can think of.
Yeah. Who was your first client? Like, who was like, here you go, take my child?
Look, there were many clients. What I remember specifically was RightBite. The
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
The food.
the nutrition. I still use it.
Okay.
To be honest,
All
from
right.
time to time.
Shout out to RightBite for
yeah.
believing in Netizency.
Thank you. Discount code. So RightBite was one. I think that's the one I remember. But the one that played a major role, and that was like our biggest client, and that was like, oh my God, we got a big client, was an organization called Finance House in Abu Dhabi.
Okay.
And they came with the retainer. It was like the biggest we've ever had. We were like so excited about it, and like we made it.
Yeah.
And then like 3-4 months down the line, or maybe 6 months down the line, we got a termination letter from them.
Oh no.
Yeah, they decided to go a completely separate way, and we're like, okay, is this worth it?
Oh yeah.
It didn't stay for long, but then we kept on, and then we actually did Virgin Mobile in Saudi.
Okay.
We actually launched it.
Oh wow.
So we did the social and digital and everything. That was huge.
Yeah.
And then from then on, we started getting like big clients.
I remember when I used to work at Enoch.
Yes.
We worked together.
Correct.
You had, I think, just launched maybe a year or so. Like, it was still quite fresh. What year did you launch?
We officially launched in 2013.
13. Okay,
Yeah.
so I joined Enoch 2014.
Yeah.
And I remember I wanted an agency.
Yeah.
And so I put out an RFP. And then I had found that you were talking about it, I think, on Facebook and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, cool. So, Michael has a startup, and let's see what it's all about. And I remember getting pitches from many agencies, like big agencies.
Yeah.
But there's something inside of me that said, first of all, obviously the pitch was really good, which you guys sent. And second is, you know what? I want to support a startup. I just want to make sure that let's put this as part of the calculus, because I feel people who are competing on a startup level are hungrier. They're going to kind of go the extra mile to, go over above and beyond to deliver, to make sure that you renew with them and so on.
Yeah.
So I feel like that was part of the decision making, and, and we started working together. It just came to me now, actually, that we did that together.
Yeah, you're right. We did Enoch together. And it was very interesting when we worked on that, because we didn't even have that industry.
Right. Yeah. Oil and gas. Yeah.
Yeah. Oil and gas. And also one breakthrough that was interesting was automotive. I remember we wanted to work with VW and Abuda.
Okay.
And they're like, yeah, but you don't have any automotive industry. And I sold them the whole spiel about methodology is key.
Right. Of course.
Any brand can apply.
Yeah.
And they were very hesitant, but then they gave us the business. Now we have extensive automotive experience.
Wow.
We have extensive banking experience.
Yeah.
So we worked with Qatar National Bank for 13 years.
13 years?
In Doha. Yeah.
That's a good retailer.
And that's a big client that, lots of people came and tried to take the business away from us, especially the big multinationals, because, they want to try to take whatever you have.
Of course.
And we managed to fend them off for like 13 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was very interesting.
But you've built a great name for yourself over the past, what is it now? Like you said, 13, 14 years?
Something like that.
No, this is 2013, for 11 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what happened is, just to clarify, because in Doha we opened a bit earlier. So we started in Doha.
So you started in Doha?
Yeah, which is the other way around. People usually start in Dubai, then move to Doha. We started in Doha in 2011. And we had a small operation here that wasn't very official. Then 2013 we opened.
So Fadi, your partner, he started first?
Yes, he started there. Actually, our first client was QNB.
Okay.
Yeah. The
That's a very good way to start.
The ones I mentioned earlier were clients in Dubai.
Yeah.
But the first actual client for Netizency, or what we call a founding client, was Qatar National Bank. And I remember Fadi sat with the head of marketing in their offices, and he was working with them there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So at this point, you're an employee, you're sitting, Michael never thought in his life that he wants to be an entrepreneur. Yeah. And suddenly, here you go. You're like, okay, fine. Let's try this Doha thing. And lo and behold, you get not a small mom and pop shop, you get a huge bank. What was your thinking? And did you think like, okay, there's something here. Like I could potentially leave this. Keep in mind, you've got a kid and you've got a wife. What were you thinking?
Generally speaking, as a character, I'm a bit risk averse.
Okay.
But I've been working on that front for a while. But I played very safe, and entrepreneurship is the furthest away from playing safe.
Risk averse.
And I remember when I was speaking to somebody who was an entrepreneur before me, and told him like, so what does it feel like?
Yeah.
And I don't know whether it's his line or he just read it somewhere. He's like, it's like jumping off a plane. And you're building the parachute as you're coming down.
Okay, perfect.
So,
perfect analogy.
And I thought that's a very good analogy. And so look, because also the funding for us, even with the retainer of QNB, wasn't enough to sustain. I was quite senior, like head of brands at Do,
and
responsibility.
paid well,
and Do paid well. So look, I was hesitant, but then me being me, I saved enough for like 4-6 months, because I wasn't expecting any salaries.
Right.
You don't do that, as you know.
Yeah.
And I thought, like, okay, I have 6 months to try it out.
Yeah.
And if things go bad, I think I'm good enough to go to any other agency. The multinationals.
Yeah.
And one of the qualities that I have that some people find annoying and I'm proud of is persistence.
Okay.
And like I keep on trying till it works. And it worked.
So you had let's say a runway of 6 months that you put for yourself.
Which I thought is more than enough to figure out if it's right or wrong. And I wanted to stop all this talking. I tried it and it didn't work. In my case, it worked.
So in these 6 months, you just went like berserk. You went to kind of knock doors.
and I'm not the salesy type as well.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I'm the more introvert. You know, people come to us. We do an amazing job, but like we don't knock doors,
Okay.
and that's something that we still struggle with. But yeah, like I had.
But people come to you, which is amazing.
Yeah, well, it was friends and families, and
Uh-huh.
then we grew like that.
Okay.
But like now, all the pitches now they come to us. We've never
Amazing.
knocked the door of any client saying, "Look, we saw your social, it's crap.
Okay.
Come and work with us."
Right, right.
We never. Luckily, we didn't need to do that as well. So we were always growing, etc.
So even your partners, they're like you. They
Yeah.
don't like to go knock doors. They're just like, no, we just want to work.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
thing.
We work, and once we work, we do a really good job.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
I'm kind of the opposite, you know. I'm more like, all right, let's go all in.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's go to LinkedIn, look at everybody who's there. I'm kind of like you with the friends and family thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I'll hold it to the people. Like,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah.
we've been friends for X amount of years. Give me some business, you know. Like, you know, no, please. I've done a lot for you. You know, now it's time to collect.
Payback.
Yeah, exactly. So I think one thing I thought was being aggressive. I mean, this is just my style, maybe. Being aggressive and like going after what I want and knocking a lot of doors, and I wouldn't take the first no. You know, the first no just means okay, just look for another way in.
Yeah.
So I find it fascinating when somebody says, no, that's not my way. My way is it's more of the pull. You know, I do such a good job that people want to work with me, which I find fascinating.
Yeah, and pretty much that's what we've done. You
Wow.
know? Like and then like you move like from Enoch to your next place, and you'd remember our work and say, come on,
Sure, yeah.
and do it. But Enoch is still happy with us, so we keep that.
Yeah.
And what I like about what we've done is most of our clients have been with us for a long time.
Mm.
So QMB is like 13 years. Lenovo is our client, 5-6 years. Motorola, 5-6 years. We also worked with Live Bank, you know, the first digital bank.
Yes, of course.
Now they moved everything in-house, but prior to that, they stayed with us for 5 years. We actually launched it as well. So that's a testament of our work, you know, because you don't need to keep on running and getting new business.
And how do you feel when you lose a big business? You know, like something happens, like you're working on this business, and then suddenly they call you like, Michael, tara bad news, we're out. Like, how do you deal with such news? And then how do you mobilize the team to not take it in a way where it's like a punch to the gut?
Yeah,
it's always going to be a punch.
Yeah,
but
yeah. I mean, there are two reasons why you lose a business, right? Either a new marketing comes, and you know the first thing a marketing can do is change the agency,
Right.
So no fault of your own, or through a fault of your own. And the one that kills me is through a fault of our own.
Right.
And we've had that. You know, we're not perfect. We've done it a couple of times where the team was not good enough, we did not pay enough attention, and we lost the business. And that to me kills me the most,
Right.
because that means I underperformed and I lost. But when a new marketing person joins and does a pitch and moves a different direction because they have a preference or they move in-house, honestly, it doesn't get to me.
Right.
Because, you know, things happen, they move. I did my best. As long as I did my best and they're still moving, I'm fine with that. What kills me is when sometimes I could have done better and I didn't, and they move.
Right.
And we've had lots of clients across the years, and maybe one or two were like that.
Right. Yeah, no, I feel you.
And then for the team, you tell them, look, there's business coming. We're always pitching, by the way. Like every week we have a pitch.
Okay.
And so as long as there's an inflow coming, things will work out.
Do you feel like the agency model needs to be disrupted?
The traditional agency model?
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I'm not a big fan of it. I lived in it. I grew in it. I learned from it. And one thing when we first opened Netizency was we called ourselves the anti-agency agency. So anything that went wrong there, we made sure not to apply it here. And now there are some stuff that you realize as you grow, there are some stuff you need to do, but we still are resisting in doing any of those stuff. So we're big on culture. Like very, very big on culture. We're very proud of the people that we have. And, you know, every agency says, oh, our people are our assets and all of this stuff.
Yeah.
We really believe in that, and we do that. We make sure everybody's having fun. We're hiring responsible adults. So, like, for example, when the COVID thing happened, we were one of the first people that moved to, home, working from home.
Yeah.
And it was a funny story because the way it happened that somebody contracted COVID 3 buildings away from us, and somebody in our office panicked. And now, you know, it's a joke. Like, you know, you can be having
somebody
COVID.
in this room might have COVID.
Yeah.
Like it's not.
I hope not. So and they panicked, and we said, okay, you know what? Let's work from home. And being a digital social agency, that was an easy thing to do. But now everybody's coming back to the office. Like even the big multinationals, even Facebook, are forcing people. You have to come 5 days a week and all of this stuff. And we said, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to keep a hybrid model. So Mondays and Fridays, you work from home.
Okay.
And then I was speaking to other CEOs of big agencies saying, but Mike, these are the wrong days to choose, because, Monday people, will abuse it. Tough weekend, partying too hard. They don't start work on time, or they're traveling. You never know if they're, I said, look, we're hiring responsible people, and I'm not hiring kids.
Right.
And if somebody abuses it, then we let that person go. But we will not change the rule for it.
Right.
So we keep those stuff like Monday, Friday work from home. You can work from anywhere in the world, like 5 days a week. That's just like extra.
Very cool.
We like to have fun events, and I know everybody says that, but I remember in the agencies we used to go and say, okay, let's everybody draw a piece of a logo, and then we sit together, we put it together, and it's the logo of the agency, and there's a speech, and I go like, I don't want to go to stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
So we make sure we never do shit like that.
Yeah. No mind control stuff.
Yeah, it's like, because then it's forced fun, and it's not really fun.
Yeah.
It's fun disguised in team building, disguised and the CEO trying to send a message to the team, and there's this speech of 15 minutes before we actually start. No, we just say, okay, you know what? Next week we're bored. Let's go all play basketball, as an example.
Okay.
We just go and do it. So that flexibility is very important. And the biggest thing for us is we suffered a lot of egos in the traditional agencies.
Of course.
We've suffered it as well. And we make a big deal if you have an ego. First, we try not to hire somebody with an ego, but some people can go through the cracks and get in. And I remember we fired somebody who was excellent at their job, but had a huge ego.
Right.
So we don't want that.
A creative or a client person?
It was a client person.
Okay.
And
interesting. Usually don't have the egos are on the other side.
Somebody thought they're too good for but see, like, we sit on one desk.
Yeah.
It's a very nice designed office. We sit on one desk, and I share exactly the same size desk like the intern. Because we don't have that. And being an entrepreneur, what I learned is you need to do stuff yourself.
Of course.
Sometimes like the bulb is not working, I go and I need to fix it, or Fadi's doing something, they go like, you guys are managing partners, like what are you doing? Like, we don't have that.
Right.
Yeah, we don't have a closed office. You knock at the door, you need to take an appointment with the PA to speak to us. We hated that, and we make sure we don't have that.
So you're big on culture, and so for you the disruption comes from a cultural perspective.
100%.
I agree on ego. I think that's 100%. I think that's it's a killer of a group. It's the killer of your own self. Yeah. Honestly, I think it's your own worst enemy to have ego. Yeah. Especially, I found it particularly important in startups. Yeah. Because ego also means that you're not as much of a go-getter as you should be. Many times I got ghosted. I got there are email threads where I'm talking to myself. Hello, any follow up on this? What's happening with this? Cool. Just literally bassel. And then at the end, this person replies, you guys didn't get it. Oh, okay, cool. After 2 months.
We face the same, by the way, yeah? And pitches, we face that a lot.
Yeah, but you can't let that phase you. I think ego could potentially make you or might dissuade you from doing these things. But you have to do it when you're running your own thing. Like you're saying, you fix the light bulb, and that's a testament that you don't have that ego. So I fully agree with you that ego is a very dangerous thing to have. Confidence is different. Confidence is
you have to be very confident.
Absolutely, because people need to trust you, that they can trust you with their business. But ego is a different thing. But so that's on a cultural perspective. So I was thinking more about, I think about this a lot. I look at consultancies, and I look at tech startups as well, because they also have a lot of servicing element to their business. And I wonder, why is it that the agency model itself has never evolved throughout the years? You know what I mean? There's no partner level that you can get people to where they can buy in, and that doesn't exist in the world of agencies. Even the big agencies the WPPs and the Publicis and all these, and I wonder why that is. They make a lot of money, especially the big ones, right? I know that maybe for the medium-sized ones they make money, but not WPP size money. And I'm wondering why that has never been disrupted. Why hasn't there been like, it's the same, if you look at it, it's the same roles, right? I've left advertising back in 2010, and there's still account executive and senior account executive all the way up to director, group account director. It's still the same hierarchy, you know what I mean? And nothing has been disrupted. It's the same environment. They tell you, oh, you're here because it's fun, you work for brands, kaza. But like when you reach 40 and you've got kids, you start thinking about your life, you know, like at least with consultants, they know that there's a path towards partnership and there's a path towards making a whole lot more money and stuff like that. And I feel like agencies haven't thought of this at all. So I don't know if you have a take on this, but that's...
lots of agency friends, they're struggling overall, right?
No, forget it. I feel we should be honest about this.
I mean, and one thing that is difficult is going up versus going down, and I'll explain that. So the consultants were always up on the food chain. Yeah, so they speak to the CEOs.
Right.
They speak to the CMOs. They give strategic advice on a business level.
Yeah.
And for them, going down the chain is much easier because the trust is already established. And that's what Accenture did. Accenture is a consultancy. And now there's Accenture Song. It's one of the biggest agencies in the world.
Right.
Why? Because going down was all a matter of execution. And execution, fine, is difficult, but it's doable.
Right.
But in agency, we never had the ear of the CEO. I mean, at best, you had the CMO. And not even the CMO. Sometimes you just meet with the marketing manager or the marketing director.
Max.
And to go up and say, look, I can give you consultancy about how you should manage your communication and your business, they're not going to listen to you. It's like a supplier of yours telling you, I'm going to tell you how to do your thing. You're just a supplier. And we're treated like that, unfortunately. And yes, there's the label of we are partners and all of this stuff, but in reality, very few are. I don't want to say most are not. So going from down to up is a difficult thing.
Interesting point.
But going from up to down is easy because they speak with the CEO, they know the business, they know the vision, and now they tell him, let us execute on that. And the CEO is going to say, for sure.
Yeah.
And if they execute well, that's it, they got it.
Okay.
And I think that's what Accenture Song did very well. Deloitte also has
they're doing that
agency
too.
like Deloitte Digital, I think is the name. And they're doing very well. And they charge big bucks. So that's the reason. And
they charge a lot of money.
And the agency model hasn't changed.
Yeah.
And the reason why they're suffering as well, now they're going back into merging with each other. Today morning, I just woke up before coming here, and I go on my X feed to see the news. And BBDO, DDB, and TBWA in Canada just merged together now.
Oh.
They'll be called Omnicom Advertising Group in Canada.
Interesting.
So they won't be those names anymore.
Wow.
JWT.
Yeah,
moved with Wonder Thompson.
Right.
And then with VMLY.
Right.
And
now
R,
they have this really huge abbreviation.
So that's what they're doing to survive, to cut costs, etc. But it's all about the offering.
Yeah.
They still offer the TVC, the print, the stuff like that.
And then there's this avalanche of AI coming, which I don't know how you survive, I mean, obviously you can survive, and whoever adapts survives because they're tools at the end of the day. But then, I'm thinking about the production businesses, I mean, you've seen what OpenAI is doing. Yeah. Like, do you even need to film anymore? You know what I mean? Today, it's not there yet, but today it's this. And you saw the progress in 3-4 months. Yes. Imagine in 5 years what's going to happen. Like, is this not going to have a job? I don't know.
Yeah, look, I always say, and maybe what I hear a lot, you will not be replaced by AI. A human that knows how to use AI will
I think that's what they tell you, so they don't want you to worry right now, But
maybe. Look, someone needs to still put the prompts in.
Yeah, true, yeah. But I'm saying instead of a team of 10, it's now probably a team of 1 or 2.
Or a team of 10 that can handle 100 accounts versus just 10 accounts.
Okay.
Right?
Interesting. But I mean, it is finite at the end of the day, like it's just, it seems like a lot of consolidation will happen.
Yes.
And it just feels like younger agencies like you, I feel, are more adaptable. Okay. Like obviously you're not tied to these big networks and the decision doesn't come from New York or whatever it comes. No, Michael decided, move, whereas I think with these big agencies, and I'm not shooting myself in the foot. Hopefully, I don't. Maybe one day I'll work for one of them. But it just seems to me it's still archaic. I walk in and they still think it's cool and hip and but you're still in 2010, man. Like I don't know. There's agencies that are really catching up, I feel, and but again, they're younger. They're okay with getting the smaller clients. They're consolidating talent with one. Yeah, for example, in social, what social did, I think that's different, is that you've got one person who can do 3-4 things.
Yeah.
Like account management can do captions, can do community management, can do some stuff on his laptop.
That's what we do, And
Exactly.
that was something that was a shock to lots of clients, and even to some of the people we hired.
Yeah.
Because we hire somebody. Okay, one thing that we didn't like, although I come from client servicing background, was like, they call it the paper pusher.
Right.
And I used to believe, no, I'm a bit more than that. I protect the brand and stuff.
Yeah.
Whether it's real or not, that's a different story. So we said, we don't want paper pushers. So when we hire a social media person, they are the liaison with the client and with the content team, but they also write the captions.
Right.
They also post, they moderate, they do the reports, they do the listening. So we have this one role that does many things. Because when they make them stronger,
right.
And two, you become quicker in reacting to the client.
Right.
And with social, you need to be very quick. So
and a consultant.
Yeah, and we don't have traffic, for example. Like, traffic used to help. It depends who was the traffic and the agencies that I were. Some of them were very good. Some of them I didn't get what they were doing. So even when we hire people, go like, yeah, but I was in that agency that does social, but I was just the one who moderates. I'm like, really? So like, who speaks to the client? That's the account manager. Okay, so who briefs the creative? That's the project manager. Then you had like 3-4 roles that we removed and got one person instead.
Yeah.
But which makes it also very difficult to find that person.
Right.
Because it's no more just organization skills. You need organization with creativity, with a little bit of entrepreneurship. All of that buckled under one person.
Absolutely. But I think that's the right way to go. Also, you can cut your prices. And that's another thing I'm noticing now. It's a price war. Everybody's coming in and they're like, how much did that guy give you? I'll give you 100,000 less. You know what I mean? Like, and it's a struggle. I'm seeing that 2024, that's the year we're in, is a bit of a. I'm seeing across the board. I don't know, but it's much less active, or not active, but there's way more competition and price cutting, price crunching than it was in the couple of years before that. I don't know if you feel the same, but I feel like I see something.
Yeah, I mean,
like
the
that.
Competition is there, but also, how I said we usually don't go knock on doors.
Right.
We don't lower our prices.
Right. Okay.
You want quality, you come to us.
Okay.
And we don't hire interns. Like lots of agencies run on interns, right? Or like low-paid individuals. We pay market price, and our people are highly educated or very knowledgeable. So we make sure you see where the money is going.
Right.
Basically.
Do you offshore some of the team? So you said you have a team in Lebanon, right?
So the Lebanon team acts like a creative kitchen.
Got it. Okay.
I mean, we have creative team here as well. That's big, but the extended team is down there.
It's in Lebanon.
Because the quality there is, I mean,
it's very good. Yeah.
The creativity well started from there. You know, if you go back in time,
That's
so
true.
it still give you quality people, and you pay fair to them as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were saying before the podcast that you're getting into sports psychology.
Yes.
So first of all, why? And second, is that something that, I mean, is this a side thing that you love?
Side hustle.
Or is it something that you feel can help you with mobilizing teams and stuff like that?
I mean, obviously it can help with mobilizing team, but no, that's not the case.
Okay.
And I'll start with how I started. So one of the things that I always love to do is I consider myself an athlete first.
Okay.
Even in university time, pre-university, I used to play competitive tennis. I was nationally ranked in Lebanon, in the UAE. So sports was always a big piece in my character. And I believe it molded me in many things, whether in how I get over losses, how I celebrate wins, how I persist. Sports played a major role for me, and I'm teaching that to my kids as well. So one of the reasons why I didn't want to put them in Shwaifat, because Shwaifat was a very difficult place where you can do sports and education. Mind you, I'm a Shwaifat graduate, but I blow off steam in sports.
Okay.
So Shwaifat forced me to do more sports so that I can breathe. Anyway.
But you put them on, or you didn't want to put them?
I did not, because I wanted to have a more balanced one without the struggle.
Got it. Okay.
So, having said that, I wasn't technically good in tennis. Tennis was an expensive game to be caught. We were like not that well off. So I had to work on my mental game. Yeah. So I used to go play tournaments where technically you're much skillful than me, but I can still beat you.
Right.
Because, I learned how to operate mentally, confidence, push you. So use more the thinking, not the technical stuff. And I was fascinated by it. So ever since I graduated, I still do sports. Now I play paddle, which is, I know, the latest craze.
Yeah.
I'm nationally ranked as well.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
Because look, when I get into something, I get into something,
Yeah.
And I read lots of psychology books and behavioral economics and philosophy. So I read always. I never read fiction. To me, I watch lots of fiction, so I don't want to read it.
Right.
And then I was like, how can I take that to the next level? Like, I've experienced it. It helped me. I read about it, but I don't want to be, with no disrespect to life coaches, say, I'm a life coach and I can help you, but like, where is your credential? So I said,
Correct.
okay, what's the best thing to do? Get a master's degree in sports psychology. And I did it like last year.
Okay.
I finished it last year.
Congrats, you finished it.
Yeah, it was a 2-year program. And I thought, I can do it.
Is this locally here in Dubai you did it?
No, in the US, it was mixed online and in person, but it was more applied sports psychology. So something that you can use for athletes. It's not just purely theoretical. And I was like, yeah, I can do it. And first week came in, I need to study, and I was like, what am I doing? Because reading a book at night about philosophy and psychology is easy. Like, I read 10 pages or one chapter, I fall asleep, you're done.
Yeah.
And then I reach here, and like, I had to read 2 books, 4 chapters from each book by a deadline. And I haven't done schooling since university, right? And I have my business to run, my kids train, sports. I have my family life, spend time with my wife, and then I need me time. So when do I do all of this? And I used to do it at night. So I started spending at night, stay till 1 a.m., 2 a.m. for the first 2 weeks. And I really questioned the decision.
Okay.
Why am I doing it? But then I reminded myself, look, this is something you like. You're passionate about it. Anyway, I worked around it. I fixed my schedule, less going out, focused more on the studying. And then I graduated that thing. And now I opened like a service business. It's called Athlete Mental Mastery.
Really?
Yeah. So it's a legit trade license with everything.
Oh, wow.
And I offer mental performance coaching.
Oh, okay.
And it's only for athletes.
Really caught me off guard. I had no idea.
Yeah. So and people go like, but can't you deal with business people? Because they need mental performance. Like when you're presenting, how do you solve your anxiety? How do you focus? How do you do concentration? Yes, I can do that, but my focus is purely on high-performing athletes.
Really?
Because that's something that's very missing in the Arab world.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say I'm the first that offers it. I mean, I looked around. I didn't find anybody that offers it because we still struggle in training them.
Yeah.
On technical skills. I mean, I don't know about, like Lebanon, for example, people who are on the basketball team, national team, they have another job. They don't have enough salaries to train and focus on that. So definitely they don't do mental performance.
Right.
So I want to introduce it, and I want to help people, and it does a lot for your game.
Wow.
It does a lot for your game.
So are you working now with athletes?
I'm working with, so I worked with a couple of athletes during my education because that was a requirement as well to graduate.
Okay.
So I worked with a tennis national coach in Egypt, who I was helping her with her team. I worked with a deep diver, and I had no idea about what deep diving is and it's like fascinating.
Yeah.
And that was interesting. And I worked with obviously a few paddle players as well.
Okay.
And now I'm working with a paddle player, nationally ranked.
What would a program like this look like? So, first of all, why would the athlete come? So, what's their goal, and how would you get them? How would you change their game from this to that? Like, how do you get them there?
So, if you compete in any sports, sometimes you go in a sport where you're supposed to beat somebody and you lose badly. And not because technically you're less than, because you're not focusing on the match. You're thinking about, let's say, your wife or your kids or your work, and you're not able to focus. And, with social, what we do, I know, the focus is becoming more and more difficult. So help them how to focus is one of the things that you can teach them.
Right.
The other thing you can help them is how to avoid distractions. Because sometimes you're playing, there are distractions happening around you on the court. How do you let that go? Sometimes you're just anxious. It's a big match. You don't want to lose it. You are equal in terms of skill set, but let's say it's a semi-final. There's a lot on it going. So
your mental
so
pressure.
Yeah. So it's how do you build concentration, confidence? How do you kill anxiety? How do you accept? So sometimes you get a bad call from a referee, and it throws off your game.
Right.
And I've seen people that losing the match just because of a bad call.
Yeah.
So how do you work on that? And what we do is like a puzzle, right? So you have somebody who teaches you the technical aspects of stuff. How do you hit the forehand, from up to down or whatever it is. Then there's the tactical, so if he's on the right, hit it on the left, whatever it is. Then there's the nutrition. Eat this before the match. And then there's strength and conditioning. You go to the gym, build the upper body strength. The mental is there. And it plays I don't want to say the most important role, because obviously I'm saying that. It plays a very, very key role. And that piece of the puzzle is always missing.
Right.
So you ask people that are nationally ranked, does anybody help you in mental performance? It doesn't have to be me. Does the academy or your sponsors do that? So most of them say no. But what happens on the court, most of the time at that level, is you lose because you're not mentally trained.
And this is like a conversation you have with someone?
So how does it work, actually? So we have a conversation. We understand where do they struggle mentally.
Could it be like a therapy session?
It's not a therapy session.
Okay.
We can sit and talk, but then I go on the ground and see how do you behave on the court.
Okay.
I can see your body language. If you do a bad call and you do that, the opponent can read on that and then say, okay, mentally they're struggling. Let's attack them. That's what I used to do, right? So body language, keep confident, power statements, like if you're number 5 in Lebanon and tennis, just remind yourself during the break, look, I'm number 5, and then my strength is my forehand, my strength is some stuff that
cool.
And they actually work.
Yeah,
they actually work.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
So, and you set goals, and some people think it's a magic pill. I'll have it, and the next day no.
Yeah,
strength and conditioning. You don't go once to the gym.
Right.
You always go. And that's an educational thing that we need to educate the people. And I've had conversations with you say, but I don't have any issues mentally. No. I don't help people that have depression or severe anxiety. That I'm not even qualified to do. And studying in the US, they're very peculiar that you're not authorized even to do stuff like that. So I would never pretend to do that. To me, is normal people that don't have any severe mental issues is how we can take them to the next level using mental skills.
So you find some athletes who have insecurities and sell themselves short, and that kind of affects them. Is that something that you
yes, absolutely. And one thing people might not know, I use tennis a lot because my background is that. Obviously I can help any athlete, but to go back to tennis, the top 50 athletes, when it comes to technical and tactical skills, they're all the same. What makes the difference on when they can win a match versus the other is how mentally strong they are.
Interesting.
And one of the strongest is Novak Djokovic, who I wasn't a big fan of, but the guy fights to every single point. And that's mental. That's not tactical or technical. Fine, there is some strength and conditioning, but you need to be mentally strong that even when I'm losing, I believe in myself that I can win. Ted Lasso was, if you've seen
I've seen, yeah.
And that's going into my movies and serious stuff. If you remember, he had a big sign above his door that said believe.
Yeah.
And belief is a very strong thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a very strong thing.
It's interesting also you mentioned focus, because I could imagine that if you have a clouded mind, I would take this even in our world of entrepreneurship and stuff like this, is no chance of winning if you're not focused and you're not determined. And I find, I don't know, I'm not an athlete. I'm not like you, obviously. But it's interesting that you have that athletic side and then your success at business. And I feel like there's some overlap, in your determination to get something done, right?
Because the skill set, and one thing that I would like to do when I work with an athlete on mental performance is to teach them mental skills that are usable in their day-to-day life or when they retire. So this persistence, you gave the perfect example. I keep on emailing what's happening, the follow up. And sometimes Fadi mocks me. He's like, just Let it be. If they wanted to reply, they would have replied.
Right.
It's like, no,
It's over.
I'm going to keep on doing it. So it teaches you persistence. It teaches you lots of life skills that are very, very important.
Yeah.
And it's key. And you need to train it. And I remember when I was doing my course and my professor, I was saying, okay, so I have a problem with focus. I go, you teach me focus, and I leave. So why would somebody keep on coming to me, right? Because I was thinking from a business point of view of what I'm doing. And he said, when you go strength and conditioning, and you used to play tennis, did you go once, fixed your upper body and leave? I was like, no. He said, do you still train? I still train twice a week. He said, why? So to keep it there,
right?
To
Exactly.
keep training. So that's how mental performance needs to.
I think people forget that the brain is a muscle, and it needs to be continuously trained, and you have to do that. And so I think some people struggle sometimes with that. They don't take that much care of it.
Because it doesn't come naturally to you. You don't think about it. I need to work on my physical. But if mentally you're tired, even at work, what is burnt out?
Right. Yeah.
Pretty much you're mentally exhausted.
So.
But then when you're burnt out, you get physically sick. You might go home, or sometimes when people go on vacation, they get sick and they wonder why. Because that's when the body realizes it's tired.
Right.
Because the mind is telling them, okay, you need to rest over here.
Yeah.
Get sick.
Get sick now. And rest. On vacation. On the beach.
But look, it's fascinating for me. And there's one story that I just want to say that I read about people who run or athletes, right? They might know the story. There's a guy called Roger Bannister. He was in the 50s, a runner in the 50s. And prior to the 50s, there was a myth, or not a myth, an impossible feat, which is nobody can run the 1 mile in less than 4 minutes. Everybody tried. Olympians, professional athletes, not. And this guy came, and he was a runner and an athlete, and he started training his mind that he can do it. So building his confidence, building his focus, building the belief that it's something that's doable. And then I think in 54, he did it. So he did the 1 mile in 3 minutes, 59 seconds. I know it's 1 second short, but he broke the 4-minute mile.
Yeah.
And what happened is, after 46 days, another person did it. And then a year later, 3 people did it in the same race. And now thousands of people have done it. But the point of the story is, this guy just proved to them that it's doable. That's all that he did. And people believe that, okay, if he can do it, then it's possible that I can do it. And now it happens.
It's interesting.
And all that he did was worked on his mental performance and mental skills.
Yeah. It's almost like break that barrier of fear.
Yeah, it's a psychological barrier, but people thought it's a physical barrier because nobody was able to do it.
Yeah.
Now, if you tell me, can you do it in 1 minute? Now, obviously, there's a limit to the physical, the physics of it. No, you cannot do that. But people were doing 4 minutes, 4 minutes and 30 seconds. 4 minutes. It was just that, and he did it, and then everyone saw, if he can do it, maybe we can do it.
Right.
But within a year, 4 people did it.
Yeah.
Where prior to 1950s, nobody was able to do it.
That's fascinating.
So there's a lot that can happen there, and I'm fascinated by it.
Are there books or characters that I'm thinking of Phil Knight, the founder of Nike, and he has a book called Shoe Dog.
Yeah.
And that runner story kind of reminded me of his story. Well, it's not his, but he was a runner.
True.
But he also partnered with the other runners to kind of develop the shoe, the shoe that's going to get them to run. His story is one of obviously perseverance.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing like that story. Everything in the world told him to drop what he's doing. Because this is not going to happen. Company after company didn't believe in him. And I don't know, a lot of people maybe don't know this, but Nike was called Blue Ribbon before it became Nike. But I feel like from what you're telling me, it reminded me of Phil Knight's story. Is that something that inspires you, or is there other things or other books or other people in history that
I mean, obviously he inspires me a lot, especially that what he does is related to athletics, right?
Well, it's a perfect world between business and athletics.
But there's also, if you see about Michael Jordan, mental plays a major role, and lots of people don't know that Michael Jordan was not the better player between him and his brother. His brother was the better player, always.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm talking in high school time.
Yeah.
He wasn't picked in high school to play for the basketball team because he wasn't good enough. He trained hard, obviously technique and skills, but for you to be able to train hard, that means mentally you have to be very focused to do it and to believe. So imagine if your school doesn't pick you, your high school, what would happen?
Yeah,
you will drop it.
Right, and you'll demotivated.
More likely than I'd say this is not for me.
Yeah.
But you need to be mentally strong to say, no, I still believe it's for me, although the high school did not, and my brother beats me. And he always says that his brother was his motivation, because and siblings, you always want to beat your brother.
Yeah.
And there's a story that I don't know if it is truth or legend. His brother always wears the number 45. Michael Jordan is 23.
Right.
And he always say, if I'm half as good as my brother, I'll be amazing. That's they say why he took the number 23. But Michael Jordan became what he is. But what do the people see? People see Michael Jordan like at the time at his peak, but there is lots of stuff that happened before you see him succeed, and then it gives that false impression for the people. No, he was born like that.
Right.
No, he wasn't that good. Roger Federer, which I like a lot, trained a lot, and the guy used to break rackets in matches. People don't know that. He used to break rackets, he used to get angry, he used to get upset, he worked on his mental. He became disciplined, and he became Roger Federer. But unfortunately, with news and social and what you see, you open one day, you see Basil with a successful podcast. You say, okay, I can do it. Basil has been working his ass off for 6 years. You know?
Yeah.
And there's a guy who does mental performance as well. He's famous in the US. His name is Drew, and he coined the term unseen hours. The unseen hours is when people train behind the scenes and sweat and do everything, but nobody's aware of it.
Right. Yes, absolutely.
Kobe Bryant goes to the court or used to go to the court at like 5 a.m. and train. But you see Kobe Bryant and you say, oh, he's amazing. Like, he's natural talent. Natural talent is there, but persistence is more important than that.
Do you feel also the passion and the love for what you do plays a big role? So
Obviously,
like getting up at 4 a.m, going to the court at 5 a.m. to shoot basketball hoops. Obviously it's because you love it, right? Like and for you, this is not a chore. This is something that I love to do. And I think working on something that you love and growing that thing, I think is a good formula to match your physical skills, right?
Like I say, there are 4 key adjectives for a person when they're building their mental performance. You need passion. You need patience, you need persistence, and you need preparedness. You need to prepare, work hard, persist, because even if you're passionate, things are going to knock you down. You're not going to be the first draft picked. You're not going to be that. You need to be patient. It'll come to you.
Right.
You need to persist, and the passion is the flame.
Of course.
That keeps it going. And when things go dark, it's the passion that say, oh, look, I love that thing. That's why I'm doing it.
Yeah. You almost like need the dream to keep you going. You know what I mean? Like when everything logical just crashes on you, that one thing that keeps you going is the dream. The dream, all right, I need to get there. Everything crashed, but I think I still need to get there. And I think that's what gets you up again and keeps you going.
100%. And there's a misconception. There's a guy called Sir Ken Robinson. He passed away. He was trying to reform education around the world about how people, when they grow old, they lose their creativity or their belief that they're being creative. And he does an example where he says he asks a group of kids, like, who's creative, kindergarten, and everybody raises their hand. He asks adults, not all of them raise their hands. So something happens in the schooling system that creativity is beaten out of us. And we believe, no, he's creative because he works in the creative department, I'm not. But we all have creativity in us. But to circle back is, he saw a guy playing piano amazing on the streets in London, and he goes and tells him, he's like, I'm going to do that. I love piano, I want to do that. And he went and he said, okay, how can I do that? And he came to the conclusion that he needs to practice 6 hours a day playing piano to become as good as that. And then he realized that he loves the idea of playing piano, but not really playing piano.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so there's that distinction as well.
Of course.
So you might see some say, oh, I would love to do that, but then you need to put all the hours into it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's not going to happen.
Well, I think that's what distinguishes, regular people from people who achieve things, you know, is that they were willing to put in the work.
Yes.
That's it. That's literally it. They were
And
willing
not
to put in
to
the
show
work.
it off.
Yeah.
You know,
Not humbled, thrilled, and honored of LinkedIn.
Yeah.
You know, it's actually doing the work.
Yeah, doing the work when nobody's seeing. That's where everything happens. But the issue is, you see it on TV one day. Suddenly, this actor becomes famous, and you go like, "Oh my God, he's talented." But then, and that's something that I started doing not recently, for the past few years, is when I see somebody suddenly becomes famous, I go immediately into his history, see where did he start.
What did he do?
He said he struggled a lot. Many auditions rejected for major roles. Then he gets their breakthrough.
Yeah.
And people say it's luck. No, it's not. It's persistence.
I think also rejection plays a huge role in how you deal with it. You know, and definitely. I mean, my example would always go back to Rising Giants. Like, this is the only thing I can probably relate to in a sense of competitiveness.
Yeah.
God, it's so interesting. You're saying that you don't knock on doors and stuff like, but you're a very competitive athlete. You know what I mean? Like, it's very interesting. Anyway, there's a psychology there as the thing over there. No, but I remember waking up at 4 a.m. because because I had some deadline at 2 p.m. that day, and working from 5 all the way up to that deadline and mobilizing everyone to work with me to do it. Even though the deadlines are unreasonable and stuff like that, but we just get the work done. And we put something on LinkedIn after a few weeks that we got some creator to work with us, or we got some brand to do some podcast or whatever. And I'm kind of retrospective in a way, where sometimes I go back and see what I have done, And when I go back to my old LinkedIn, like during Rising Giants, I feel like anybody who would see what I did would think like, man, this guy is minting, man. He's crushing, he's living his life. But they don't know, like, between every post is like a month of absolute destruction, and mental tests and
begging,
begging, pleading, ghosting, doubting every decision that you've made in your life, all of that.
Yeah.
And then you get that one moment, it's like, hey, yeah, let me share that. You know what I mean? So it's kind of deceptive, but you're right. It's what you don't see, and behind the scenes. I think that's what built the character of a person, And I do really believe that what I've learned in those 3 years, is more than what I've learned in the preceding 10 years, or more. Or 15 years.
Life education.
Yeah, because you learn you get punched. You have to learn how to get up again. You have to learn not to cry over things. You have to learn boo-hoo, the buck stops with you. So you got to keep moving,
True. I mean, that's a very important thing. The boo-hoo, the buck stops with you. Some people say who helps you mentally? You.
Yeah.
Because it stops there. And the other thing that I want to add to this is there is no manual how to do it.
It's true.
Like you said, you knock at the doors. I don't.
Yeah.
They both worked somehow. So there is I open, okay.
I want to try your way.
Yeah.
It's a better way.
I don't know. So A, buy a mic.
Yeah.
2, buy a laptop. 3,
Right.
contact. There isn't really a manual because people did it in different sorts of ways to achieve it.
Absolutely. There's a great book. It's called The Hard Thing About Hard Things. And it talks about that very issue, when
there is no manual.
That there's no manual, and you have to figure it out, and it's fascinating. It's really, really interesting book. And I found that actually to help me a lot throughout my experience because there's no mentor, I have to mentor myself.
Yeah.
And so how do I mentor myself? I try to find people who inspired me in some way and kind of read what they, said about it, Bob Iger's book, Ride of a Lifetime, is interesting. That one, Hard Thing About Hard Things. There's practical examples in there.
Yes.
And I think Bob Iger is more of a dreamy type, he tells you, I got Lucasfilm, I got, Marvel, so you're like, wow, one day, I can be that. And I think you need that, I think you need that aspirational.
I believe he threw money on the problem,
I
It's
do
not
think
like,
so. He had a lot of money.
To me, Shoe Dog is a much more impressive. What Phil Knight did was a much more impressive.
Well, yeah, I mean, Phil Knight built it from nothing, and he really slaved. I guess Bob Iger is a career man,
he's a career man.
Yeah, he built himself in a career. But it's interesting to see both worlds. It's both possible in both ways. One is way harder than the other one,
But if you want to get controversial, to me, I'm a big fan of Elon Musk.
Okay. Yeah, I like Elon Musk.
Yeah, not lots of people
Not
do.
a lot of people
but
do.
What he did, how he disrupted the EV like the automotive industry
Yeah.
was short of a miracle.
Right.
And he's disrupting the space travel. Well, he's the only one that offers it now. And the guy just entered industries that are rich with cash, have been doing it for a long time. Nobody was able, there was no automotive startup that survived.
Right.
And he came in with the EV, and everyone said EV is a Prius. Prius is not a car for men.
Yeah.
You know? And he made EVs cool. He made EVs fast. He made EVs strong. And now all the automotive
They're following his
companies
lead.
are struggling to follow his lead. They're not. They're struggling to follow his lead. And if you go and read, he tried to set many meetings with them in the earlier days.
اقلب وجهك.
خلي ولي. You know, we're not interested. And look where he is now.
Yeah.
And yes, obviously he
That's
had
it,
capital because
yeah.
you know, he was part of the PayPal
Right,
mafia,
yeah,
and he had it. But still, he put lots of money in something that he believed in. Now his EVs are like amazing. And I don't know how he runs 4 or 5 companies that each are industry-breaking technology, and I'm struggling with one social media agency in Dubai and the mental thing. I don't know how he does all of that, but what he does is very impressive.
Yeah.
And there's lots of examples like that.
Absolutely.
But to me, I think the big message is for the younger generation. They need to see that there's lots of work that needs to happen for you to reach somewhere. But they see social, and they see on Instagram and say, hey, Basil has million followers, successful podcast. And they go like, I want to do it. They try, it doesn't work out, they drop it. But please go check Basil's history.
Yeah.
This 15
Stick to it.
This 15 minutes of fame.
I mean, I don't have a million. Just
Yeah.
FYI.
You should. But the 15 minutes of fame is like, fine, it happens, but then it dies out. All those successful people that you see have worked really, really hard on doing it.
Yeah.
So it's making the younger generation a bit impatient.
Yeah.
Because they don't see the full picture. They
Yeah.
go like, I want to be that. It's easy to do that. They try, it doesn't work, they drop it.
Right. That's why I encourage everybody to read Phil Knight's story.
Yeah.
Because if anybody had to give up, it was him. And then he started the biggest sneaker sporting company in the world.
I suggest not only that, check who is your role model. It could be Messi or Ronaldo or whoever it is.
Yeah.
And read about their history. Please go back and see they all struggled.
Right.
They all struggled.
Even with me, with Metallica, it's no secret I love Metallica. But like the slumming days of the 80s and the early 80s when they used to sleep on in vans and it's so fast. I love that. Like I love seeing the evolution of a person from sleeping in a van to headlining stadiums. How fascinating is that journey, And I think it really is all about the journey,
True.
because when you get to the destination, it's great, but it's great. Yeah. But the journey
super great
in retrospect is like, wow, I've built a story,
And you appreciate it more.
Absolutely.
If it comes easy,
it's credibility as well.
Yeah, it comes easy, it goes easy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's why sometimes they say, like, I think it is the 3rd generation of so if you have a family that started a business, not the 2nd, the 3rd generation are the ones who usually ruin the whole company.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
There was a study about that saying that usually the 2nd, 3rd generation is the one who ruins it, because the first one is who worked hard to put it. So the grandfather will be the one who worked hard to make it happen. The father is the one who expands it and makes it stable, and the son comes and destroys it.
He doesn't care because he didn't struggle.
He didn't struggle.
Yeah.
And he took it easy, so he makes maybe silly decisions, or he takes it for granted, and it goes away.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's super interesting. Very fascinating.
Yeah.
I know we're at an hour now. But thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Are you still watching movies or?
Always.
Yeah. Because I remember you had your YouTube channel at some point about reviewing movies.
I still do that.
Yeah.
But I went to the lazy, so I just post on Instagram 1 out of 5. So I put the poster, I put 1 out of 5, and that's it.
What do you like? What's your
shows
or movies or both?
Both.
So what's the best show of all time?
Of all time?
Of all time.
There's many. So I'm currently. So let's say currently, Yellowstone to me.
Yeah, everybody tells me Yellowstone, but I haven't.
Yellowstone is amazing, but we're still waiting for the last part of season 5. Currently, what I'm watching, and it's really good, is Presumed Innocent.
Oh, interesting.
It's on Apple TV Plus. It's like phenomenal. Breaking Bad was good.
Was great.
Sopranos is amazing. The Americans. Some people. Like, it's a great.
I haven't
show.
watched it, but I think Sopranos for me is it was something happened to pop culture after Sopranos. You know what I mean? Like they changed the game. You know, this comedic drama mix of the Sopranos. I still think no one came close after them. I don't. I
So
also like
that's your favorite
for sure Sopranos and
currently.
Currently, I don't think there's anything that's close. But I think the closest just ended last year, which is Succession. I think they were. I mean,
that 5 out of 5.
because look, they even ended it in a great way. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't. Whereas Game of Thrones, like, was so good all the way up till the end. You know, and they're like, why did you have another season? Like you don't have to end it this way. Although the Dark, what was it called that episode, the night battle thingy?
The last one.
Yeah, in the last season. I don't. Do you watch Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
I like that.
I didn't watch House of Dragons, which is...
Yeah, I didn't too. I didn't. I think I was so put off by season 8 that House of Dragon was a no-go for me. But yeah, definitely Sopranos, Succession, it was perfect from start to finish. Breaking Bad, I liked a lot.
But yeah, Succession, I loved. I forgot it. Like,
no,
that's the script writing. And usually I like also Aaron Sorkin. He's one of the... So he does the news...
Is he Aaron Sorkin is involved in Succession?
No.
Oh,
but he's done Newsroom.
Yes.
I think it's fantastic.
Yes,
West Wing, which is very relevant in our times now, was phenomenal.
West Wing was great. I mean, especially if you like politics and stuff like it.
But even if you're not, it gets you into it. And you understand it. And, you know, President Bartlett is like... is a dream, I think, for
the ideal.
So yeah, I do watch shows, but I think the ones who's doing it really well is Apple TV, because the production quality is amazing. The acting is phenomenal. You might not like the story or not, but that's a taste thing.
And they drip shows. They don't give you like Netflix, which is bulk. You know, like they.
And Netflix have some really good ones, but now it's becoming difficult to find.
Yeah, it's true.
There's so many shows.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. I think Netflix started off amazing. I mean, obviously House of Cards. House of Cards is a show that really pissed me off because it was amazing all up until the cancellation of Kevin Spacey, you know? And that last season was just like, it's unnecessary, you know what I mean? But
that was an amazing show, you're right.
So good. Like, it was such a good show.
Well, to be honest, it was that show that made mainstream actors be interested in
Netflix.
TV.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, TV. Okay.
They were never.
Right.
TV was like a downgrade.
That's right. Yeah.
You know, like if you're in TV.
Yeah, that's true.
He did it. The show was super successful. It helped Netflix.
Of course.
A lot.
It's a subscription-driven show. You know what I mean? It's a show that I will pay money to go watch.
And then now, after him, now actors are in all shows.
Yeah, it's true.
Even the biggest of actors are in shows.
I feel Disney Plus has the same problem as Netflix in a sense that where like
not a fan.
They drop everything and you're like, what do I watch? Like there's so much on Disney Plus.
Yeah, I mean all the Star Wars. I'm a Star Wars fan, but all the Star Wars series are like
they're not great.
No,
I mean I'm not a fan, but what's Mandalorian? Like everybody told me it was amazing.
Mandalorian was good.
Yeah,
but to me the best Star Wars is Andor.
Okay.
And that was fantastic.
Okay.
Good storyline, good acting, etc. But there's lots of crap.
How do you find time to watch
night.
shows and
so
mental health?
Night. I'm a night person.
Okay.
So I finish work, I go home, sit with my kids, or if they have tennis training, I take them there.
And what time do they sleep?
Who?
Your
kids or me?
Your kids.
I'm not proud of like 8:39 they go to bed.
Okay. All right. But how old are they?
9 and 12.
9 and 12. Okay, that's reasonable.
No, it should be a bit earlier.
It should. Okay.
But so when everybody goes to sleep, that's when
that's your time.
And
so what time do you sleep?
I try to be in bed 12.
Okay.
And sometimes 1.
So you get yourself a couple of hours just for yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can, watch a few shows.
Right.
It depends what time the wife sleeps. If she sleeps earlier, you have more time.
Right.
To do the show.
Because then she commands the TV. You know, like what reality show are you watching today? Better Call Saul. Did you get into it?
Yes.
Yeah. What did you think?
I liked the first few seasons,
Yeah.
but then I lost interest.
Me too, actually. Yeah, you're right. At the last season, I was like, okay, just get it over
but
with.
the actor is very good.
Yeah. Was it Bob Odenkirk?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, he's really good. Cool, man. Thank you so much for your
Thank
time.
you.
I took a lot of your time, but you were generous with it. So thank you so much.
Thanks, man.
And yeah, thank you, girls, for being here.
Thank you very much.
The girls behind the scenes.
Still
Thank you, sir.
awake. I'm impressed.
Thank you, man. Thank you
All
so
right,
much.
thanks.